this COVID-19, and then there are a few other. There's another community member. His mother passed away. So I'll give you the names in 1 second. We can start maybe with Surah Fatiha for them and.
But we are not going to do Masayib at the end. It's just Surah Al-Fatiha.
Nasir bhai, you want to do Masayib? It's up to you.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Yeah, if you can do Masayib also, share that. Be great.
Okay.
So with that, I think let me tell you the names. 1 second. Let's start my video so that we, yeah. So the name is the marhum brother of Nasir Hussain was Riaz Hussain.
What is his name? I'm sorry.
Riaz Hussain.
Riaz
Hussain. And then Musarrat Fatima. Musarrat Fatima.
Okay.
And then Sajid Hussain.
Okay.
And then another brother, his mother passed away yesterday, Abida Ashfaq Hussain.
Abida?
Ashfaq Hussain.
Ashfaq Hussain. Okay.
Yeah. So maybe we can start with Surah Fatiha and then if you can do Masayib.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, inshallah.
Yeah, Bismillah, you can start now.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، سيدي وحبيبي ونور قلبي، طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الهاديين المهديين الذين ذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Before we proceed, there is a humble request of Surah Al-Mubarakat Al-Fatiha for the following marhumin and marhumat. The first one, Riyad Hussain. The second, marhuma Musarrad Fatima. The third, Sajid Hussain. And the fourth is Abida Ashfaq Hussain. May Allah be pleased with all of these marhumin and marhumat. Please remember them with Surah Al-Mubarakat Al-Fatiha. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. My dear brothers and sisters, today we are to discuss the new hadith of Arba'una hadith of Imam al-Khumaini rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh. And today we are discussing the hadith that Imam al-Khumaini rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh quoted in his book as hadith number 10, which is known as Hadithul al-Hawa wa Tulul Amal. This hadith, Al-Imam al-Khumaini rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi quoted by saying bil isnad فصل إلى رئيس المحدثين. He quoted the narration and related the hadith from one of the leaders of narrators. It's called Ra'isul Muhaddithin. There are many narrators, but this is one of the leader of those narrators. Who's that? And Imam says Muhammad bin Yaqub, and it's known as Muhammad bin Yaqub. There is no time to go and give a little bit about this great man and his contribution to the Muslim world in terms of the hadith and compiling the hadith, and in terms of how much they sacrifice. You know, one of the things that, my dear brothers and sisters, sometimes when we read those hadith in these books, we normally don't know what it took, how much these people sacrifice in order to make this possible for us today. Today we sit in our rooms or homes and reading this hadith comfortable. But if you are to think about what those scholars went through in order the hadith to come to us, sometimes you will shed tears for me. Now let me just give you one simple example. Like today, you and I, when we go to the store and we buy any fruit, like a mango, for example, you buy pineapple, you buy cucumber, you and I, all we think is, oh, this looks good, I need to buy it, bring it home. But if you to go back and tell and ask the farmer how much effort and energy he put from the beginning till the time it becomes the fruit for you to buy, you will know that there are so much has been spent in order this cucumber to become cucumber for us. Similarly to our ulama, our scholars, how much they put in order to make this possible for us. That is why when you look, Imam al-Khomeini rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi, when he mentioned his name and he added Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhi, may Allah be pleased with this great scholar, because he knew how much sacrifice this alim has done, what kind of contribution he has given or added to the Muslim heritage. This alim, Muhammad bin Yaqub, and he said Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhi. May the pleasure of Allah be upon him. May Allah be pleased with him. Then he said also, not only that, and then he said, An al-Husayn ibn Muhammad. Another companion narrated, and his name is Husayn ibn Muhammad. He also narrated from whom? And he also narrated from Mu'alla bin Muhammad. He also, Al-Husayn ibn Muhammad, also narrated from Mu'alla bin Muhammad, another companion. And this companion also narrated from whom? Anil Washa' bin Asim, another companion. This is a chain of the narrators. He also narrated from him. And then also an Asim ibn Humayd, another companion. And then an Abi Hamza, another companion. Then an Yahya ibn Aqil. This Yahya ibn Aqil, he narrated. From whom? From our first Imam, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, salamullah alayhi. That the narration is from Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, alayhi salam. And if you recall, the beginning of most of the hadith that we started is quoted from our sixth Imam. And now we're talking about the first Imam, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, salamullah. What did Imam say? He said, Innama akhafu alaykum ithnatayn. And by the way, you got to know how dangerous this topic is from the wording of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And Imam alayhi salam, we all know, history has proven that. And his history doesn't need a question. Every Muslim knows who Imam Ali is. Regardless of our differences of school of thought, Imam Ali is like a son to anybody. Imam Ali was known that he is a man who is not scared of anything and anybody except Allah. It's known of that. And I'm bringing this as well as an introduction to the hadith. This Imam Ali, who doesn't scare of anybody, and as a matter of fact, others get scared of him, right? Now, in this hadith, he is telling you, I am scared. Isn't this something to think about? A brave man. That everybody look up to him in a battlefield, in the front line. A places nobody will go, he will go. A man nobody will fight, he will fight and kill. He comes here and says, I am not afraid for you except two things. And he mentioned in hadith, innama. Innama in Arabic is called harful hasan. Harful hasan means, like we say in English, only. Which means, it says, the only thing that I'm scared for you, I'm fearful for you, are two things. Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, you are the man who doesn't fear anything except Allah. But he said, here I'm fearful. Here, I'm scared. This should give us an idea that whatever Imam Ali is going to talk about is something very, very important for all of us. And I want to say, brothers and sisters, this hadith might take us maybe 3 or 4 lectures if we want to give at least do justice to the hadith. I don't think one hadith, one day or one topic will be able to cover. And even I can tell you, even 3 or 4 lectures is going to be just still summary. Because there are books that are written on just this topic. Books. Just to explain this particular subject that we're talking about, or we're about to talk about. So Imam Ali alayhi salam, in narration he says, إِنَّمَا أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ إِثْنَتَيْنِ. I'm fearful for you of 2 things. What are they? Number 1, it says, ittiba'ul hawa. Ittiba' in Arabic, following. Ittiba' al-hawa. Following al-hawa means desires. Now, you're going to understand how dangerous this can be. That Imam Ali alayhi salam, he didn't say, I'm fearful of shaitan, because he vowed to Allah to take you to hellfire. He said, no, I'm not worried about shaitan. He is not worried about other things, but he said about except these 2 things. Number 1, ittiba'ul hawa. Following our own desires. That's number 1, that Imam Ali is fearful for us. Number 2, is a watulul amal. Now here, let me make sure that we understand the wording properly. It's tul al-amal, not amal. Amal with the hamza, not amal with the ain. No, amal means deeds, actions, work. Amal with the hamza, which in the hadith, it means also tulul amal. If I want to put it in our wording, I will say long dreams. Long dreams, which we call today American dream. That's exactly the wording that matches our today's world. And especially for us who live in America. All right. So Imam said, وَطُولُ الْأَمَلِ. And I'm fearful about the long desires, long dreams. That is, Imam Ali says. But the beauty part of the hadith, he doesn't stop there. Then he gives you what each one of these does to us. To understand why Imam Ali is fearful. That when he said, I'm fearful, it's not just telling I'm fearful of A and B and that's it. He tells you what those things can do. For example, when a father tells a son, don't drink a poison, right? A poison is bad, don't drink. That's one thing. But then he tells him, because poison can kill you. See, there's the two different things. He wants you about the poison, and then he tells you, why is it danger for you? Imam Ali, the same thing. When he tells you that I'm fearful of these two, he doesn't stop there. He tells you the reason why he is fearful of these two. Why is he fearful of the desires? Imam Ali says, Amma al-hawa. Amma ittiba'ul hawa. The reason why I'm fearful of following your desires is a yasuddu anil haqq. Allahu Akbar. Because following desires prevents someone from truth. Meaning, a person can see this is the truth, but following his desires can turn away. I know this is the truth, but I'm not going to follow. Allahu Akbar. You know, there are so many examples in history in the Quran too. That there are people, example, when you look in the Quran, Allah tells us about mushrikeen. A lot of them, they knew the Prophet is a messenger of Allah. They knew that. But their hearts cannot allow them to listen and follow the Rasulullah. Not only that, you come to Imam Ali on the day of Ghadir, Nu'man al-Fihri is one of the examples. He came, Rasulullah told him, Ahada minka aw min Allah. He said, min Allah. But his nafs would not allow him to listen and follow. That is why Imam Ali alayhi salam, he said, Amma ittiba'il hawa yasuddu anil haqq. It prevents one from the truth. A person can see this is the truth, this is the light, but say, I'm not going to follow it. Why? Because my heart doesn't allow me to. That is one. What about the other one? Tulul amal, the long dream. Imam Ali says, Wa amma tulul amal yunsil akhirah. It makes one to forget their akhirah. Because, you know, the moment I have all this list of things I need to achieve, I want to have this, I want to have this, I want to, and I have this list of dreams that I have to achieve in life. What it does, it takes your mind away from death. It takes your mind away from akhirah. That's what Imam Ali says. Now you see, a lot of this happen in the world that we live in today. People who have this kind of disease, right? They're willing to kill everybody. Not because they don't believe there is qiyamah. They know there is a qiyamah. But what happens? They forgot. Because all what is in their mind is to achieve the dream. That's what is their objective in their life. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he said, these two things is what I'm fearful for you. But before we go to talk about these two, but today I just want to focus on one. And then maybe next week we'll talk about the second one, which is Tulul Amal. Today we focus about Hawa. But before we go any step forward, let's discuss what is the definition that Imam al-Khomeini in the book, how do they define al-Hawa? How do you define it? It's al-hawa, which is hubbu shay, to love something. Something, community. Can be human being, loving human being, loving a thing, a house, a car, a clothes, a power, position, you name it. All of the anything is called hawa. Imam said, hubbu shay wa ishtiha'uhu. Ishtiha'uhu, to love something, to want something. But the difference in this word and hawa, there is something attached to this. It's not just wanting something. Because sometimes you can want something and it's good. Right? Hubbu shay, loving Allah. Is that a bad thing? No, no, no. That's not called hawa. So when we say hub al hawa, loving something, you gotta understand the entire definition what Imam gave, and he says hubbu shay'i wa ishtiha'uhu, to want something min duni farqin fi an yakuna al-muta'allaqu amran hasanan mamduh. That's where the danger comes in. To love something without making difference between whatever I want, whether it's something good or bad. That's what the hawa is. Loving something. And when you love something, it doesn't distinguish good or bad. No, it just wanted it, and that's all what matters. Good and bad doesn't have to do anything with it. Why? Here's where the important message comes, brothers and sisters. Because al-hawa by itself, by nature of the hawa, the way it was created, he says, لأن النفس أو الهوى بمقتضى الطبيعة تميل إلى الشهوات الباطلة. Because by nature, this hawa wants something that is bad. By nature, that's how it was created. It wants something bad. Now, let me just give you one example, but it's not a quite example that matches this, but just to give you just an idea. You know, when a child, a baby, you know, some of us are parents, we understand this, we've been through this. The moment a child started to get to the age where they pick something, they lift something, right? Anything they find, they can take it. You know what they do? The first thing they do, they put it in their mouth. Doesn't matter whether this can hurt them or it can help them. Doesn't matter. Anything, because at that point, the sense of learning for a baby is mouth. Anytime they take something, they want to put it in the mouth, right? So now, as a mother or father at that age, you have to be very careful with that baby, with that child. Observe them every second. Why? Because they may take something, right, that is might be ending killing them without knowing and doing what? Put in their mouth, right? Now, this is just an example of hawa. It desires unconditional. It desires uncontrollable. You cannot control it, right? Now, you need something to come and control, which like a baby and the father or the mother or any adult in that matter is what we call al-aql, which watches over the baby, right? You have an adult who watches the baby every time to make sure that the baby doesn't put something that is hurtful in their mouth. Now, that is how aql is. So let's take in this example, the baby is like a hawa, and the aql is the adult that watches over that baby to make sure that the baby doesn't hurt itself. That is the definition of what? Al-hawa. So al-hawa in Arabic is what? Hubbu shay, to love something, right? Whether it's going to hurt or bad, it doesn't matter. All it wants is to have, to obtain. That's what's called al-hawa. Now, brothers and sisters, just to give you a better understanding of what Hawa is, I'm going to just pause here and take you out and explain what the Hawa is. And then if time permit, we come back to the point. You know, every human being, myself included, and you are included. Every one of us, we are created of 4 elements. And it's called murakkab. Murakkab means mixed together. You know, put together different parts, and we became human being. Like a car. You see, the car has a body, engine, battery, tires, and it's called car. Now, human being by nature, we are formed of 4 important parts. The most important part of every human being is known as al-aql, the intellect. And that is the first piece that was created in human being. You hear some hadith, أول ما خلق الله العقل. Now, the first thing Allah created, not of all the creation, no, in human being. When he says awwal, the first one, no. It doesn't mean of all the creation. The awwal thing, the first thing that Allah created of all is Nuri Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. That's the first thing of everything. Before the sun, before the moon, before the ocean, before everything was the light of Rasulullah. Now, that is completely one thing. Now, in human being, the first piece that Allah created was al-aql, the intellect. And the intellect is what? It's like the president, which watches everything that is moving in human being. That's one. Number 2. Then there is something called al-badan. Al-badan is a body. Al-badan, right, is a body. Now, you see in Arabic, sometimes we have al-jism, right? And we have al-jasad, and we have al-jism, al-jasad, al-badan. This 4. In Arabic, some of them, they mix them with al-jism, al-badan, al-jasad, right? All of them is body. But when you go, there are some slight difference according to how they use it. Al-jism, some scholars said, is a word that is used for body. Al-jasad is also means a body. But al-jasad is normally used when the body loses ruh. In other words, when a person is dead, it's called jasad. Now, if you pay attention to ziyarat warith, you see Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, it says, wa ala ajsamikum. Wa ala ajsadikum. Right? It says salam ala al-jism and ala al-jasad. Al-jism, when the body still carries the ruh. Al-jasad, when the body doesn't have the ruh at the soul with it. All right? Now, this is just the difference between these two, but sometimes it's used other way, jism and jasad, but this is just a slight difference. Now, al-badan means body too. Now, you can say al-jism, you can say al-jasad, you can say al-badan. All of them, it means body. Now, the second part Allah created was the body of this human being. And you go to the Quran, Allah talks about human being, how this body comes along. And it's amazing. And if you are to read Quran and see how this body came along, that itself is enough to prove the existence of Allah. If you look from the beginning, right, how human being came about, this body that you see, right, how it came along, where it started and where it became human being, that process from this to this itself is enough to see there is the clear evidence that there is Allah. That's called body. That's number 2. Number 3 piece is called an-nafs. Number 4 piece, which is the last one, is called ruh. So we have al-aql, we have al-jism, then we have al-nafs, and then we have al-ruh. Now, I don't want to go through this translation. Some people call soul, spirit, whatever the case is. Now, in Quran, the word nafs is used for different meaning. Sometimes the word nafs comes to mean what? To mean human being. Example, يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة. Oh, you human being, fear Allah, your Lord, who created you from one, nafs. But what does it mean, nafs? Soul? Yes, but here doesn't mean soul, it means human. Because our creation didn't come from the soul of Adam, it came from Adam as a human being. Then sometimes the word nafs means also a soul. Like when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. That is nafs. But here nafs doesn't mean human. It means this piece part of human being. But sometimes you see people in translation in English, they say a ruh, soul. Sometimes a nafs is soul. But if you just want to make it easier, a ruh supposed to be meaning spirit. And a soul is called nafs. So a nafs is one thing, and then the ruh is one different thing. They're two different creations. They function completely differently. Now, just to give you a background about what is ruh. A ruh, we don't know what the ruh is. We don't understand because it's out of the human being's understanding. Quran says, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Allah says, ruh is beyond your understanding. Why? Because that ruh is part of Allah. That ruh that you and I have today and help us to move around is called a ruh, and it's come from Allah. فَإِذَا نَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. Allah says, min, from me. Now that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who can understand him? Because Allah is not a physical. How can you understand him? Now we cannot. So ar-ruh, but the hadith comes to give us some kind of understanding, just something, just for us to understand what the ruh is. But simply to understand what ruh is, a ruh is an energy, right? That helps a person to function properly. Now, let me give you a simple example, and I'm sure maybe this can help us to understand. Have you seen people who drive cars or ride bicycles, right? They have a bicycle, it has two tires, sometimes three tires, right? The tire is there, but there is something the tire needs to be able to function the way it's supposed to function. What is that? It's called air. You take that air, there is no life for the tire. The moment you pump that air into the tire comes alive, strong, and ready to serve. Similarly, a ruh is like that in human being's body. That is why in Arabic, when he said the word al-maut, they say infisal ar-ruh an al-jasad, which means when the ruh separates from the body, no longer into the body, is called maut. What does it mean? Body can no longer function. Like the tire cannot serve as it's supposed to. It's there. You can see it there. The physical is there, but cannot longer function. A ruh is like that. And the ruh, it doesn't shrink, it doesn't grow, it doesn't age, it doesn't change. All of this element is for ruh. Other element, they do have all of this. Now this body, it grows, right? It can become smaller, it can become bigger, and sometimes becomes old. But ruh never change. And that is why al-falasifa, ulama al-falsafa, what did they say? They say the same child, 2 years old, he said, me. He become 15 years old, he said, me. But if you look at the body, it's not the same, huh? The body, when he said 2 years, the body was a tiny body. Now it's 15 years with the beard, it's me. No, but you at the age of 2, it's not the same thing. Now things have changed, right? But he's not referring to this body, it's referring to the ruh, which doesn't change. Now that is called al-badan. Now, a ruh doesn't change, doesn't grow. It stays the way it is from the one Allah put into your body. That is called a ruh. Now, an-nafs is what? An-nafs is a spirit. The nafs is called soul. And this soul, Allahu Akbar. Allah, brothers, the more you read from Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam about how Allah created us, human being, is enough to say, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim wa bihamdi. Glory be to Allah. Now let me just give you 2 points about this nafs. One is what the Quran says, and one what the hadith of Ahlul Bayt says. Al-Quran al-Kareem comes to describe the nafs in Surah Al-Shams. And you know, the reason I'm saying this topic is very, very extraordinary important, because it's a topic that we all have to, we all into it. See, when we talk about ujub, some of you guys, I don't feel ujub. Okay, I'm not part of it. Okay. Al-kadhib, lie. Oh, I don't lie. I'm an honest guy. Okay. But this topic is the nature of every human being. Nobody's exempted. It might come in different levels, lower, medium, higher. It might come, but we all are in the same level. You may not be in this point, but you might be in this. If you're not here, you are here. If you're not here, you're at some point, you are caught up with something. Because this nature, nafs, loves things. Sometimes a person can get caught up with the love of money. Some might not. Some might get caught up with what? Even loving myself. And these nafs, my dear, this hawa that we're talking about is dangerous to the point some people take the hawa to become their God they worship. Now I tell you, hawa means desires, right? Now, some people, it grows different levels. And for some people, it goes to the level of making the hawa a God. And Quran says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَى. Ya Rasulullah, have you seen the person who took their desires to become their creator, their God, they worship? Can you reach that point? Of course. Has anybody reached that point? Yes. Sometimes, indirectly or indirectly, we might be caught into one of these. Now, this nafs, you go to Surah Al-Shams, the importance of this nafs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presented multiple swears. وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ وَالنَّهَارِ وَاللَّيْلِ وَالسَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Then he said, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا. I swear by this soul, وَمَا سَوَّاهَا, and the power that created this nafs. And why would Allah swear by the nafs? What is significant about this nafs? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in Surah Al-Shams, He swears with almost everything, makhluk and khaliq and combined, which are usual in the Quran. Most of the time when Allah swears, He swears with makhluk. Right? But in Surah Al-Shams, Allah swears with the khaliq and makhluqat as well, both together. Just to talk about what? Nafs. And this nafs that Allah talks about, He said, wa nafsin وَمَا سَوَّاهَا. Now, these nafs that we talk about, Ahlul Bayt, this Quran talks about it, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا. But Ahlul Bayt gives us more details about this nafs. And I want to share with you, so that tonight when we go to bed, let's take a moment to think about ourselves. And the moment you think about yourself, you take that thinking to Allah, to understand when Allah says, سَنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ. We will show them our signs. فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ, and within themselves, حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ, so that it becomes clear to them that yes, Allah is the truth. But just think about it tonight. You go to bed, think about nafs. Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, they say, this nafs that Allah talks about is a nafs, but it has 6 different levels within the nafs itself. Allahu Akbar. That nafs, one nafs, right? Within itself, there are different branches in within the nafs. What are they? Number 1, we all hear something called fitra, right? Fitra, what does it mean? Nature. Fitra means nature. And one of some of the ulama, they says, we say zakatul fitra or Eidul Fitr for a reason. Because Eidul Fitr is the Eid that human beings come back to their nature they were created on before. All the 9 months, we live, with all due respect, the life like animals, following desires. I have to eat this, I have to do this. In the month of Ramadan, you are made to become human. So on the Eid al-Fitr, you become Eid al-Fitr. I become like my nature I was created from the one. That's called Fitra. Now this Fitra, how did Ahlul Bayt explain it to us? They said al-Fitra is the nature, right? And this Fitra is the first level in nafs, within the nafs, right? And what is that Fitra? How did they define it? They says al-Fitratu wa fiha awda Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala al-Mayl. Allahu Akbar. That first level in nafs, Allah put something called al-Mayl. Mayl means what? To have the wish or liking. Wal injizab, and being attracted to whom? To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now remember in Surah, we just said Surah Al-Shams, what did Allah say? It says, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. Now that taqwa, which is what? To be attracted to Allah, to develop the wish, the will to be with Allah and obey Allah. Where does it come from? It comes from the fitrah, which Allah put inside you, which is also inside the nafs. Is that all? Is that all? Not only that, also to have the desire of ma'rifah, knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, comes from the fitrah too. Not only that, number 2, it's a hubbul fada'il, wanting some good akhlaq, good character, good merits, right? All come from where? From that al-fitrah. That is the first level within the nafs. And now you understand, you can make the link between when Allah says, فَأَلْهَمَ فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. That taqwa is coming from what? Nafs, right? But that nafs, not all the nafs, there is a window and a special place called fitrah. And that fitrah is what Rasulullah tells us, يُولَدُ كُلَّ مَوْلُودٍ عَلَى الْفِطْرَةِ. Every child is born on this fitrah. Now, what is that fitrah? Now, pay attention carefully, brothers and sisters. That fitrah means Allah put as some kind of a will, desire to be with the Creator. That desire is there, but you have to grow it, make it grow, search it, find it, right? But it's there. The potential is there. It's like an earth that is ready to plant anything in there, right? Now, in that earth that is ready to be planted, anything, whatever you plant is what grows. Now, the Prophet says, كُلُّ مَوْلُودٍ يُولَدُ عَلَى الْفِطْرَةِ. Every child is born on that nature. What is that nature? Nature of finding a Creator, connecting with his Creator. But how does it change? It's إِلَّا أَنَّ أَبَوَاهُ. The parents are the one who takes the child to become Jewish, or to become Christian, or to become atheist, or to become other things. But today, the researchers also have proven that there are other elements, but the main factor is the parent. But sometimes society can play a big role in that. Sometimes individuals can play a role in changing of human being from one way to another. Sometimes other desires can play a role in it. Money can play a role in that too. And the list goes on. But the first thing is called al-fitra. That is the first level. Number two, they call it al-aql al-sughra. There's aql al-kubra and there is aql al-sughra. Allahu Akbar. Al-aql al-sughra is what? Is also another window, another level within the nafs. Because we have al-aql al-kubra, which Allah gave to only human being and jinn and also angels. That aql is one thing. That's what we mentioned, the first thing Allah created. But then there is al-aql al-sughra, which is part of the nafs, right? That part of nafs, which is al-aql al-sughra, it helps a person to distinguish certain things. There is a difference between to know what is right and wrong. That's aql al-kubra. Aql al-kubra is what, no, this is wrong. This is right. I should be here. I shouldn't be here. That's called aql al-kubra, right? Now, this al-aql al-sughra is another power Allah put inside the nafs, that it helps a person to know, right, certain things and distinguish in the lower level. Some animals have this too. That is how animals, they come to know danger and friends. You see a dog, sometimes they see certain people, they run to them. They see certain people, they run away. How do they know? They have aql? No, they don't have aql, but they have this. Aql al-sughra. They get to distinguish. This within the nafs is there too. They call it وَهُوَ مَرْكَزُ التَّمْيِيزِ وَالتَّلْخِيصِ فِي تَكْوِينَ الْإِنسان. It's within the human being. To some level, they can tell the difference. And you can see this happen in even people who have some mental problems. The aql al-kubra is gone. It's not working, right? But you still, the aql al-sughra still work. You see them do things and you wonder. Now, aql al-kubra is gone. It's not there to work. But the aql al-sughra, they're able to distinguish. They can tell, this is my mom, this is my dad, this is my brother, this is my sister. But they cannot distinguish right and wrong because aql al-kubra is gone. Now they say al-aql al-sughra is their ability that Allah put within the nafs. Aql al-kubra is not within the nafs, it's outside. Right? Aql al-kubra is on top of the nafs. Right? But the aql al-sughra is within it, it's inside it. That's the level number two. Number three, and it's called al-irada. Al-irada means what? Wish. What does it mean? This is literally in Arabic. But according to the ulama and nafs, when they say al-irada, they don't mean literally English or Arabic meaning desire. No. What they say is وَهُوَ مَرْكَزُ الْقَرَارِ is a center of making decisions for human beings. Now listen careful. Okay, where does akal fall here? No, akal tells you right and wrong. Now you get to decide whether to be with this or that. Who does that? Al-irada. The akal doesn't force you to be with this or to be that. Al-irada is what does that after the akal distinguish for you. This is the right, this is wrong. So when they say al-dhamir, al-irada, what do they mean? They says markazul qarar, right? It's a center of making decision, right? وَتُؤَمِّنُ لِلْإِنسَانِ, and it gives a human being something special. What is it? حُرِّيَّةُ الْقَرَارِ, the freedom of decision making. It makes human being to feel, I am free. I can make decision. And you can see this even in the children. See a child 2 years old, right? You take one toy that he likes, right? And you want to give him something else. What does he say? Say, no, I don't want this. I want this. Where does it come from? It's called irada. Because he has a decision that he makes. What I want to. You don't dictate to tell me what to do or not to do. No, that shows human being by nature. Allah created them free. And that irada is what helps the human being to make that decision. And that is number 3. Number 4, and it's called ad-damir. Ad-damir plays one of the critical role in human beings. What role does it play? Allahu Akbar. You know, Allahu Akbar, the way Allah created human being. Within our body, this body that you have, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created something called a court system. There is a court system in our body. In that court system, there is a lawyer, there is prosecutor, then there is a judge, there is prison, there is prisoner, there is a prison guards, and the list goes on. Allahu Akbar. If we are to pay attention a little about ourselves, we will see all of this in this system that Allah created in our body. Now, the judge in that system is called al-dhamir. And for those who understand Arabic, you know, in the Lahja al-Iraqiyya, Iraqi dialect, when somebody is misbehaving, they say, la dhamira la. Dhamir, which means he doesn't have, you know, something to make decision, something to make him, you know, to force him to do something. He doesn't have that. Now, ad-dhamir, our scholars, how do they define it? They said, وَهُوَ مَحْكَمَةٌ قَائِمَةٌ فِي دَاخِلِ الْإِنسَانِ. It's a court that is created, set up inside the human being. What does this court do? Now listen carefully. Then I said, muhimmatuhu, the job of this court, muhakamat al-insan, to bring human being to the court. وَتَوْبِيخَهُ, to warn him sometimes, and sometimes ممارسة الضغط عليه, sometimes putting pressure on him. Don't the court system do that to us? You rent somebody's house, you're not paying the rent, right? A month later, they take you to the court. What did the court say? Okay, you have to pay the rent or you have to leave. I don't want to pay. Now, who forces you to get out? Huh? It's a court. That is the job of what we call ad-dhamir. You know, our scholars, they said the job of these is to put a pressure on human being to get his act together. Isn't that what the court system do? Somebody doesn't get his act together, doing some things wrong here and there, the court forces you to straighten up. And if you don't, sometimes what do? You put in jail. Can you believe that this also ad-dhamir does that too? That damir, if you want to put it in the verses of Quran, it's called nafsul lawwama, self-accusing soul. But here in the Quran, it's called nafs, right? But here, they distinguish all of these levels to tell you that, yes, it's called nafs, but it's not the whole nafs. There is one piece inside the nafs called ad-damir, which makes human being to account themselves within themselves. And we all can bear witness. Sometimes you say to yourself in your room, after a certain incident, and you question yourself, why did I say this? No, I was disrespectful to this brother. I shouldn't have done this. Sometimes you call to apologize. Now listen careful. How did you call to apologize? Because your dhamir has passed a law on you that what you do was wrong, and the final decision is you have to do this. You know, sometimes we don't sit down to see all of these different levels that our nafs goes through. So we just say, oh, I just called and apologize. But there's system within yourself, right? First, your nafs, your body takes you to that court. The moment you get into that court, what do we do in the court? In the court, there's a questioning. What did you do? It's ask, why did I do this? Why did I say this? Why didn't I do this? Now you're in the court system, right? Then later on said, no, I shouldn't have done this. That's wrong. Then I need to call you and apologize. Now, this is the act of dhamir inside you. That is number 4. Number 5, and they call it al-qalb. In some books, they call it al-fu'ad. And some, they call it sadr. All the same thing. Different words, but they mean the same. Al-qalb, al-fu'ad, al-sadr. Al-qalb, in Arabic, we call it heart. Al-fu'ad is called heart too. Al-sadr, literally in Arabic, is called chest. Because we read in the Quran, الَّذِي يُوَسْوِسُ فِي صُدُورِ, and sudur is the plural of sadr. Sadr means chest. But in here, when they say al-qalb, they don't mean heart. When they say al-fu'ad, they don't mean heart, as we can see in literally in Arabic. What they said there is another level inside the nafs, which is called al-qalb. And qalb is another level Allah created. وهي نافذة أخرى للوعي والمعرفة. A human being, when it's open, sometimes get locked, sometimes open. When it's open, then the conscious of human beings started to act right. And within that nafs, or within that level, which is called al-qalb, a human being find themselves, they are interested on certain good things. Allahu Akbar. You know, there's one ayah in the Quran which Allah make references to something like this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna hadha la dhikra liman kana lahu qalbun. Now listen careful. Allah says, it's a dish. The ayah talks about some teachings, and then it says, these are reminders for those who have qalb. Now you ask me, literally, which human being doesn't have a heart and survive and live and call human being? We all have heart, right? Every human being. By nature, when a baby is conceived, the first thing they check is heartbeat. So every human being has it, right? But Quran says, liman kana lahu qalb. For those who have heart. What heart Allah is talking about? Not this heart that we're talking. No. This nafidatul wa'i, which Imam is explaining here in the Hadith, who says it's another level which is open. When it's open up, a human being is willing to listen. Human being is willing to understand. Human being is willing to listen to the verses of Quran. But you have to open it, huh? This is called qalb. You can turn it. Qalb, something you can turn, right? Now, qalb, if you turn it upside down, it doesn't matter. The ayahs of Quran goes on top of it. But if it turns outside the other way, where it's open up, then it sits in that heart. That's called al-qalb. Now, number 6, which is the last one, is called al-hawa. Now, I brought all of these to understand the hadith of Imam Ali when he says, I'm fearful of 2 things. One is ittiba al-hawa. What does it mean? Where does the hawa falls in all of these? Now you understand. It's part of nafs. That's a big picture. Which falls? The bottom of all these. Al-fitra, al-aql al-sughra, al-irada, then there is all of these, al-qalb, and then there is hawa. Now, how did the Ahlul Bayt define the al-hawa? They say, وَهُوَ مَجْمُو'َةُ الْغَرَائِزِ. It's collections of desires. Collections of desires. What does it mean? Desire of having money, desire of beauty, desire of power, desire of position, desire of children, desire of women, desire of houses, desire of, you name it. And the list goes on and on and on. There is no limit to that. It says, وَهُوَ مَجْمُو'َةُ الْغَرَائِزِ وَالشَّهَوَاتِ, and desires. How many? Only Allah knows. Al-muda'a, which was placed fil insan, inside human being. It's within us. And he says, وَتَتَطَلَّبُ الْإِنسَانِ بِقُوَّةٍ, and it has a power upon human being, and want human being to fulfill it by force. And one thing about this hawa, you know what it does? And the narration, it says, وَتَكْسِبُ لِلْإِنسَانِ لَذَّةٌ إِنْدَ الْإِشْبَاعِ. It brings a human being a joy, happiness, whenever hawa is fulfilled. Something I desire to have, right? It happens. It doesn't matter whether it happened halal, haram. It doesn't. The moment I get it, you see, then I feel so happy. Because that, what it means, the desire is achieved. The goal is achieved. That is called al-hawa. Bunch of collections of desires. Now, let me tell you, brothers and sisters, this hawa, now we understood the nafs and where the hawa falls. Now, this hawa, as we mentioned, it has 3 features. 3 features just for the hawa. What are they? They said, number 1, hubbal at-tawsi'a. At-tawsi'a means it always want to expand. It never wants to stop at one place. And you can understand that, brothers and sisters. You know, al-hawa, I desire something. The moment I achieve it, I want another one. The moment I get that, I want another one. I get that 3rd one. I want the 4th one. I want the 5th one. I want the 6th one. I want the 7th. And then keeps going on and on and on and on. And there is no limit to it. And there is one beautiful hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, لو كان لابن آدم, had the son of Adam واديا من الذهب, the valley of gold, of a gold, mountains of gold. He said, لابتغى ثانيا. He would have asked for the next one. وَلَوْ كَانَ لِابْنِ آدَمْ وَادِيَانِ, had the child of Adam had 2 valleys of gold, لَابْتَغَى ثَالِثًا, he would have asked for the 3rd one. And can anybody say I'm not part of it? Of course we do. Some of us, our desires here appears where? In clothes. MashaAllah, some sisters, and not all the sisters, some sisters, MashaAllah, every time they want to have a new clothes. Sometimes it's not about clothes. Sometimes it's about food items. Right? They go to the store, something is on sale. Do you need it? No, no, no. But it's on sale. I need to get it. Where do you think that's coming from? That's from there. I want expand. No, I want this. You already have it. No, no, no. I want it's on sale. I need to get more. The person on different levels, we can find ourselves in this. If you're not here, you might be here. If you're not there, you're here. At some point, you will find yourself is cut into one of these world things. There's nobody can say, I am exempted from this. Nobody. That's why Imam Ali says, I'm fearful, because we're all part of it. So number one is called a tawsi'a, expansion. This is how I always want to expand. And you can see, brothers, there is so many examples. You look at the superpowers of the world today, right? They have the biggest part of the world, right? Economy, everything. No, it's not enough. We have to get somebody from Middle East. We have to go to Africa. We have to go to the South America. We have all of it is now we have to go to the moon. See what's there. Let's get something there. There's no limit for it. That's even be nature. That's called tawsi'a. That's number one. Number two, and it's called a tahriq wal ilha. Tahriq, constantly keep human being moving. Wal ilha, also putting, insisting it has to be done. You have to get it. Allahu Akbar. Is that all? No. That's number two of it. You see, enough. Sometimes I have to get it. I have to do it. It doesn't matter. I have to struggle. I have to kill someone. I have to cheat someone. I have to steal. I have to lie. I have to backbite. At least I have to reach to it. I have to get it. Doesn't matter what happened in between. That is number two of the features of this hour. And number three, they call it what? Tada'uf. It never. Tawsi'a means, the first one we say tawsi'a, spread, right? Now, the third one, tada'uf, going higher. Spreading this word is one thing. No, the third one was go up, increase. I'm a homeless. I don't have a place to stay. You get a one bedroom, after the other one too. Expansion, going up. I get that. Oh, I want 3 bedrooms. I have a motorcycle. No, I want a car. I get another. No, I want a better car. And then, and always going higher and higher and higher. That is the nature of this hour. Hey, dear brothers and sisters, if you look at this, what we're talking about is a real world. The reason why Imam Ali alayhi salam, he said, I'm fearful, because this can easily take every one of us to hellfire. When Hawa becomes dominant, no akal or anything works at that point. It's one of the strongest branch of all of these branches that we mentioned. Let me take you to Karbala, brothers and sisters, just to see a practical example. You think people who killed Imam Hussein, they didn't know him? Do anybody think that they don't know Imam Hussein? Like they just killed him randomly, they just found him and they didn't know him? Now, in case you think about it, okay, let's research. Let's see what happened on the day of Ashura. Before Imam Hussein alayhi salam got killed, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he talked to those people. He said, Atarifu, do you know me? They asked, who are you? He said, I'm the grandson of the Prophet. And he says, Unduru gharban wa sharqan, look at the west, look at the east. if you can find anyone to claim they are the grandson of the Prophet. And he said to them, now, in case you don't believe me, in case you think I'm a lie, now, let me point you to people who know me, and they can tell you what they heard from Rasulullah. And then he said, Is'alu Anas bin Malik. Ask Anas bin Malik about me, and he will tell you who I am. You think they know Imam Hussein? Of course they know. Now, in case you think nobody knows him, now one of them, Omar ibn Sa'ad, Imam Hussein called him. He said, yeah, Omar ibn Sa'ad. He says, I know you've been invited to come and be with Yazid ibn Ziyad. He said, but I am calling you to be with me, and Udminu lak al-Jannah. I'll guarantee you Jannah. So, you know, my grandfather is Rasulullah. My mother is Zahra. He said, come with me. Now look at the desire and how this Umar ibn Sa'ad, before that, he was promised to become the governor of Ray and Jarjan. Now look which one was able to win one on. Umar ibn Sa'ad, did he follow Imam Hussein? He said, Udminu lak al-Jannah. I guarantee you Jannah. Because my grandfather, he is Rasulullah. He said, no, I don't want Jannah. What do you want? The desires. What is it? Jarjan and Ray is much better for me. This Umar ibn Sa'ad, on the day of Ashura, he was the one who stood in front of the public and he says, Ishhadu li inda al-Amir anni awwalu man rama ala al-Husayn wa iyal. That I'm the first person to throw my arrow upon Hussein and his family. Doesn't he know Imam Hussein? He knows. Why did he do that? The desire overtaking him, and he wishes to accomplish that desire regardless of what happened. Even if he is to kill the grandson of the Prophet, so be it. See how dangerous this desire is? And these are the people who are Muslims. They are not somebody Christians or Jews, brothers and sisters. They are praying like you and I, right? Even on the day of Ashura, they said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. But at the end, what happened? They end up killing the grandson of the Prophet. That is why this, when you hear Imam Ali say, Innama akhaf, this is one of the reasons. I'm scared because this desire is so powerful, it's so challenging that it can lead a person easily to the hellfire. There's certain people, not just Umar ibn Sa'ad, many of them. Some of the companions, because of their own positions, to maintain their positions, they say, no, we don't want to get involved with Imam Hussein. We have nothing to do with Imam Hussein. That is why when we read in Ziyarah, وَلَعْنَ اللَّهُ أُمَّةً سَمِعَتْ فَرَضِيَتْ. People, they heard about it, but they don't have nothing to do with it. Say, no, I have nothing to do with it. I don't want to get involved. I want to just maintain my life, my way of living. I don't want anything to interrupt it because I am attached to that life. I want to stay comfortable. I don't want anything come bothering my life. I don't have nothing to do with it. I desire this life. The same people also turn. The desire could not even tell them the difference between an infant and adult. The infant that Imam Hussein alayhi salam brought, and he says, if I am the criminal, what is the crime of this day? Give him water. So what happened? They look at Imam Hussein and this infant, and they shot him with the arrow. As the narration says, Imam Zayn al-Abidin describes the scene. He says, Ja'ahu siham, an arrow came, فَذَبَحَهُ. It slaughtered him from one jugular vein to other jugular vein. What happened after that? He said, فَوَجَدْتُهُ. I saw my brother, Yurafrif, flying in the hand of my father, كَالطَّيْرِ الْمَذْبُوعِ, like a bird that has been slaughtered. I said, while he was in the hand of my father saw the movement of my brother was more than normal. He looked down, he saw my brother blood was gushing from his neck. He put his hand under the neck of Ali al-Asghar. The hand was filled with the blood. He threw it in the sky. When he threw in the sky, none of that blood came back to the earth. Why? Because Imam Hussein alayhi salam want that blood to become shaheed, a witness on the tragedy of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein on the day of Qiyamah. He said he put the second time and the blood was filled in his hand. This time he wiped with the face of his son. And then he turned towards the tent as he was walking to take the baby back to the mother. The mother was running back. She said, "Al saqaita ibni ma'a وجئتني ببقيته." Have you given my son water and brought him back to me? Imam Hussein looked at her and he said, خذي ولدك مذبوحا من الوريد إلى الوريد. Have your son who has been slaughtered from one jugular to other jugular. Imam Hussein alayhi salam even describes how they kill Ali al-Asghar. It's not just they slaughtered him. They say they slaughtered him from one jugular to other jugular. And similar the way we are supposed to slaughter animal, that's how they treated Ali al-Asghar. The mother, when she took her son, she screamed that, you know, the mother are attached to the children more than anybody else. When she took her son, she screamed and she says, Ya Ibni Ali, oh my son Ali, had I known that you will become shaheed, I would have prepared you for the day like today. I brought you here not knowing that they will kill you. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he looked at his wife and the son who has been killed, and he says, oh my son, what will be the answer of those people on the day of judgment? When the Khasmaham, the one they fought, is the grandson of the Prophet, and the judge is Allah Rabbul Alameen. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. إلهنا نسألك وندعوك بأحب الخلق إليك بمحمد وعلي وفاطمة والحسن والحسين والتسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين. اللهم بحقهم عليك وبحقك عليهم فرج عنا فرجا عاجلا قريبا كلمح البصر أو هو أقرب من ذلك إلى أرواح هذه المؤمنين والمؤمنات, to the soul of these mu'mineen and mu'minat, المرحومين رياض حسين, مسرد فاطمة, ساجد حسين, عابدة أشفاق حسين. May Allah be pleased with their soul. Surah Al-Mubarakat Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. وصلى الله على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Thank you, Sheikh. Thank you so much. This is, as you said, this is a very, very vast topic. I'm sure everybody has a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions, but I think we don't have a lot of time today because this is a big topic that you started. So if anybody has any question that they must ask, please do so. Unmute your mic and you can ask the question. Otherwise, what we'll do is maybe next week, inshallah, we'll spend a little bit more time on some questions on today's lecture. Because you touched upon several very important and topics, and a lot of people have questions about rule and so.
What I can do next week, maybe I can do half an hour and then give more time to the question and answers for people so they can ask as much as questions.
Yeah. Does anybody have any question for today? Otherwise, we can ask the questions next time on this lecture itself about the ruh and soul, the nafs. I think this itself requires several lectures from you.
Lectures. That's right. That's right.
I'm not seeing anybody unmute and ask a question. So since it's been a little bit long, I don't want to. I have a long list of questions, but let's not ask those questions today. Inshallah, Sheikh will continue with this topic next
Inshallah.
week, and then we'll spend a little more time about the questions.
God willing.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Thank you very much for.
Not a problem. My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before we end, can we do a dua for all the people who are suffering from this coronavirus, and hopefully,
Inshallah. 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 We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that all mu'mineen and mu'minat and all humanity at large, those who are suffering this disease, Ya Allah, we ask you to give them the fastest recovery, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Some of them are at home, some of them are in the hospital. Ya Allah, we ask you, not because of us, but because of Marid Karbala and Imam Zain al-Abidin, who also was sick on the day of Ashura. Ya Allah, for his maqam and his position to you, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Give all of those people the fastest shafa. Urid amman yujib 5 times, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give fastest recovery for all of those humanity, especially our mu'mineen and mu'minat. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 باسمك العظيم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله 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 يا مجيب المضطرين بحق المضطر أجب المضطر إنك على كل شيء قدير وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. Inshallah, we'll continue this discussion.
God willing. Inshallah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. With our face.